The Palace of Aurelian did not rest on the ground like ordinary buildings. It floated quietly and arrogantly, thousands of meters above the surface of the planet, as if gravity itself had been politely asked to leave and had reluctantly agreed. Massive gravitic rings beneath its foundation emitted a low, steady hum that most residents stopped hearing after a few days. Marcus Hale never stopped hearing it. To him, it sounded like a warning that never ended. He stood at his assigned position near the eastern observation corridor, unmoving. The corridor stretched in a long arc of transparent crystal, revealing the alien horizon beyond. The sky was not blue. It was layered in soft bands of violet and pale gold, with distant orbital traffic drifting like lazy insects, civilian transports, cargo vessels, diplomatic cruisers, each one tracked, scanned, verified. Marcus tracked them too, not because he needed to, because he needed to need to. He had been standing there for 2 hours, 12 minutes, and 16 seconds. His armor registered the duration precisely in the corner of his visor display. He did not check it intentionally. It was simply there. His breathing was steady, his posture perfect, his mind alert. He blinked once. That was his scheduled blink. Most people blinked reflexively, carelessly, without discipline. Marcus blinked because his training permitted it. Behind him, the corridor doors opened with a quiet, respectful hiss. Marcus did not turn immediately. He already knew who it was. The palace's internal sensors had notified him 3 seconds earlier, transmitting biometric confirmation directly into his neural implant. Princess Ilara of Aurelion. He turned smoothly, lowering himself into a precise salute. She walked forward with measured calm, her footsteps soft against the polished white floor. Her presence changed the air in subtle ways Marcus could not quantify. She wore a simple ceremonial gown, its fabric shifting faintly between shades of silver and pearl as it reacted to the ambient light. Her face was composed, thoughtful, observant. She looked human, almost. Her ears extended elegantly beyond her hair, long and gently tapered, unmistakable. They were not exaggerated or grotesque. They were simply, different. Refined, ancient. They marked her as Aeliri, a lineage older than most civilizations currently negotiating trade agreements. Marcus had read the briefings. He had memorized the anatomical differences. Enhanced neural processing, slightly elevated baseline body temperature, greater resistance to environmental toxins. None of that information prepared him for the way she actually looked. Because she did not look alien. She looked like someone who belonged exactly where she stood. She stopped beside him, gazing out at the horizon. "You have been standing there a long time," she said. Her voice was calm, clear, and carried a softness that did not weaken it. Marcus did not look at her directly. His gaze remained forward. "Yes, Princess." She waited. He realized she expected more. He added, "It is my duty." She tilted her head slightly, studying him. That was a very official answer. Marcus said nothing. She stepped closer to the transparent wall, her reflection faint beside his armored silhouette. "Do you ever wonder," she asked, "what it would be like to live down there?" Marcus did not hesitate. "No." She turned her head, one eyebrow lifting faintly. "No?" "No, Princess." "Not even once?" "No, Princess." She stared at him for a moment longer, then smiled faintly. "You are either extremely disciplined," she said, "or extremely boring." Marcus did not react. Internally, he considered both possibilities. Behind them, a palace maintenance drone rolled past, humming cheerfully as it cleaned a section of already immaculate floor. Its programming caused it to pause briefly near Marcus, as if waiting for approval. Marcus ignored it. The drone waited another second, then moved on, perhaps slightly offended. Ilara noticed. "I think it likes you," she said. Marcus did not look at the drone. "It is a machine, She nodded thoughtfully. Yes, but so are most of the Palace advisors. Marcus almost blinked again. Almost. He suppressed it. A transport vessel in the distance shifted trajectory slightly, its engines glowing brighter. Marcus's visor immediately highlighted it, running identification protocols. Civilian cargo shuttle. Cleared. Authorized. Still, he watched it until it passed beyond the horizon. Alara watched him watching it. You do that every time, she said. Yes, Princess. Even when you know they are harmless. Yes, Princess. She was quiet for a moment. That must be exhausting. Marcus answered honestly. It is acceptable. She studied his face, as if trying to see past the armor, past the training, past the discipline. Marcus remained perfectly still. She stepped slightly closer, not enough to violate protocol, but close enough that Marcus became aware of the exact distance between them. Captain Marcus, she said quietly. Yes, Princess. Have you ever made a mistake? The question caught him off guard. He searched his memory. Yes, Princess. She waited. He added, once. Her expression brightened with curiosity. Once? Yes, Princess. What happened? Marcus hesitated. It was not a classified answer. It was simply embarrassing. I misidentified a pastry. She blinked. A pastry? Yes, Princess. I thought it was an explosive device. She stared at him. And was it? No, Princess. She covered her mouth suddenly. Marcus realized she was laughing. She tried to stop. She failed. The sound was soft, uncontrolled, human. Marcus did not understand why this felt more destabilizing than any threat assessment he had ever performed. I apologize, she said, still smiling. It is acceptable, Marcus replied. She looked at him again, her eyes warmer now. I am glad it was only a pastry. Marcus nodded once. Yes, Princess. She turned back toward the horizon. Marcus remained beside her, watching everything, protecting everything. And slowly, without realizing it, becoming aware that his most unpredictable responsibility was no longer the threats outside the palace. It was the quiet, impossible gravity of the person standing next to him. Captain Marcus Hale trusted machines more than he trusted people. Machines followed their programming. Machines did not improvise. Machines did not suddenly decide to betray centuries of loyalty because of ideology, greed, or a poorly timed emotional crisis. Machines did not wake up one morning and choose chaos. Unfortunately, the Palace of Aurelian was full of people. Marcus stood behind Princess Alara as she reviewed diplomatic projections inside the central strategy chamber. The room was vast and circular, its walls alive with floating holographic displays. Star systems rotated slowly in the air like obedient planets, their data streams scrolling in neat columns of information. Trade routes glowed blue. Restricted zones pulsed red. Neutral territories blinked cautiously, as if unsure they wanted to exist at all. Ilara moved her hand gently through one of the projections, expanding a system cluster with precise, elegant gestures. Her long ears angled slightly backward, a subtle indication of concentration Marcus had learned to recognize. He had learned many things about her without permission. He had learned that she tilted her head slightly when solving complex problems. He had learned that she preferred silence over background music. He had learned that she did not trust advisors who smiled too often. He strongly agreed with her on that last point. Behind them, a hovering spherical drone rotated slowly, scanning the chamber for environmental inconsistencies. Its outer shell reflected the room in perfect curvature. Marcus had already checked its identification signature 4 times. It remained loyal. For now. You checked that drone already, Alara said without turning. Marcus did not react outwardly. Yes, Princess. She rotated another star system projection, enlarging its orbital stations. 4 times. Marcus paused. Yes, Princess. She glanced at him over her shoulder, her expression calm but unmistakably amused. Are you expecting it to suddenly confess to treason? Marcus considered the possibility. It would be statistically unusual, he admitted. She smiled faintly and returned her attention to the projection. Marcus did not smile. Guards did not smile. Smiling implied comfort. Comfort implied vulnerability. Vulnerability implied mistakes. Marcus did not make mistakes, except once. He still thought about the pastry. The chamber doors opened behind them with a soft chime. Marcus turned immediately, his hand resting near the magnetic grip of his sidearm. It was only Advisor Wren, which did not make Marcus relax. Advisor Wren walked with the smooth confidence of someone who had never been shot at, which Marcus found deeply suspicious. His robes shifted subtly with embedded microfields that kept the fabric perfectly arranged at all times. Marcus distrusted clothing that behaved better than most soldiers. Princess, Wren said, bowing slightly. Alara nodded politely. Advisor. Wren's eyes flicked briefly toward Marcus, not with hostility, not with warmth, simply calculation. Marcus recognized the look. He had seen it on battlefield commanders assessing terrain. Marcus did not enjoy being terrain. We have received confirmation from the outer defense ring, Wren said. The diplomatic convoy will arrive within 6 hours. Marcus processed the information instantly. 6 hours meant increased traffic. Increased traffic meant increased variables. Increased variables meant increased risk. Alara dismissed the holographic projection with a gentle motion. The stars vanished obediently. Thank you, Advisor. Wren hesitated. His eyes moved to Marcus again. Captain Hale, he said, his voice neutral. You remain vigilant. Marcus did not interpret this as a compliment. Yes, Advisor. Wren inclined his head slightly, then exited the chamber. The doors closed. Silence returned. Alara exhaled slowly. I believe Advisor Wren is afraid of you. Marcus did not respond immediately. He should not be, Marcus said. She looked at him directly now. That was not reassurance. Marcus considered clarifying. He chose not to. She stepped closer to one of the chamber's transparent panels, which overlooked the palace's inner ring. Maintenance drones moved along their designated paths below, each performing its assigned function with peaceful efficiency. Do you trust anyone, Captain? She asked quietly. Marcus answered without hesitation. Yes. She turned, surprised. Yes? Yes, Princess. Her curiosity sharpened. Who? Marcus paused. It was not a difficult question, but it was not an easy answer either. You, he said. The word existed in the air between them. Alara blinked. Marcus immediately reviewed his response for error. It was truthful. It was logical. It was consistent with his duty. And yet, something about the way she looked at him now suggested it had meant more than logic. She turned away slowly, her expression thoughtful. That, she said softly, is a dangerous amount of trust. Marcus did not agree. It was the only trust he could afford. Behind them, the spherical drone suddenly emitted a cheerful chime. Marcus's hand moved instantly to his weapon. The drone projected a soft blue icon. System update complete. Marcus stared at it. He did not like system updates. System updates meant change. Change meant uncertainty. The drone rotated slightly, as if proud of itself. Marcus did not share its pride. Alara noticed his posture. It is only a software update, she said gently. Marcus watched the drone carefully. Yes, Princess? The drone hovered closer. Marcus did not move. If it betrayed them, he would destroy it before it completed its first hostile action. The drone stopped, It emitted a pleasant tone, then it drifted away. Alara laughed softly. You are disappointed. Marcus frowned slightly beneath his helmet. No, princess. She folded her arms, studying him. You wanted it to be hostile. No, princess. She raised an eyebrow. You definitely did. Marcus said nothing, because she was not entirely wrong. Hostile machines made sense. Hostile machines followed patterns. What Marcus did not understand were moments like this. Quiet moments. Moments where nothing was wrong. Moments where the only unpredictable element in the room was her. The day began incorrectly. Marcus knew it before anything actually happened. He knew it in the way the palace hum sounded slightly lower in tone, like a massive creature breathing through clenched teeth. He knew it in the way his armor's internal diagnostics paused for exactly half a second longer than usual during its morning synchronization cycle. He knew it in the way the corridor lights adjusted brightness a fraction too slowly when he stepped into position. Nothing was wrong, which meant something was very wrong. He stood at his assigned location outside the princess's private transit platform, his posture perfectly still, his senses extended through layers of training, implants, and instinct. His visor displayed environmental data in quiet streams. Temperature stable, pressure stable, radiation negligible, structural integrity optimal. Everything was optimal. Marcus distrusted optimal. Behind him, the transit platform emitted a soft tone as it completed its vertical ascent, lifting Princess Alara from her private quarters to the main palace ring. The circular platform opened with a gentle mechanical sigh. She stepped forward. Her appearance was slightly different today. Not dramatically. Not enough for anyone else to notice. But Marcus noticed everything. Her gown was darker, deep silver instead of pearl. Her hair was tied higher at the back of her head, exposing more of her long ears. The elegant curve of them caught the ambient light, almost glowing faintly. Her expression was composed, but her eyes held something quieter, more inward. Marcus saluted. Princess. She nodded. Captain. She stepped beside him, and for a moment, neither of them moved. The palace stretched endlessly around them. White corridors, floating light panels, silent drones gliding along invisible paths. Then she spoke. You are more alert than usual. Marcus did not turn his head. I am always alert. She folded her arms. That was not an answer. Marcus processed possible responses. None of them improved the situation. I am appropriately alert, he corrected. She studied him carefully, her gaze precise. That is worse. Marcus considered that possibility. She began walking. He matched her pace automatically, positioning himself half a step behind and slightly to her right, the standard protective angle. They moved through the eastern corridor, where massive transparent panels revealed the open sky beyond. Orbital traffic drifted silently in the distance. A cargo vessel rotated slowly as it aligned with the outer docking ring. Marcus tracked it automatically. Civilian transport. Verified. Authorized. Still, he watched it until it moved out of optimal threat position. You do not trust cargo ships, Alara said calmly. I do not trust anything, Marcus replied. She nodded thoughtfully. That must make birthdays difficult, Marcus blinked. Princess, if someone gives you a gift, do you assume it is an assassination attempt? Marcus hesitated. I scan it first. She smiled faintly. Of course you do. They continued walking. The palace was quiet at this hour. Most administrative staff had not yet begun their duties. Maintenance drones hummed softly as they cleaned surfaces that were already flawless. One drone paused near Marcus's leg. It extended a small, articulated arm and gently polished a section of his boot. Marcus froze. The drone beeped cheerfully. Marcus stared at it. He did not know how to respond. Alara stopped walking. She watched the drone, then looked at Marcus. "I believe it likes you." "It is cleaning," Marcus said. "Yes," she replied, "but enthusiastically." Marcus said nothing. The drone finished its task and rolled away, satisfied with its contribution to order. Marcus watched it go. He added it to his mental list of unpredictable entities. They approached the observation bridge where the palace's outer shield generators could be seen far below. Massive rings of energy rotated slowly, maintaining the barrier that protected the entire structure. Marcus monitored their frequency output automatically. Stable. But something in his mind refused to accept stability. Ilara stepped to the edge of the observation panel. She placed her hand gently against the transparent surface. "Do you ever feel it?" she asked quietly. Marcus focused. "Feel what, Princess?" She hesitated. "The distance." Marcus did not understand. She glanced at him. "From everything else." Marcus answered simply. "No." She studied him carefully. "You are either very fortunate," she said, "or very lonely." Marcus did not know which answer she expected. He chose silence. They stood there together, watching the vast sky beyond the palace. For a moment, nothing moved, nothing changed, nothing threatened. Marcus did not relax. He never relaxed, because somewhere, eventually, something always decided to stop being predictable. And Marcus Hale had built his entire existence around being ready for that moment. Marcus did not believe in calm days. Calm days were illusions created by insufficient observation. He stood beside Princess Ilara in the grand diplomatic atrium, where the palace welcomed important visitors with calculated beauty. The ceiling arched overhead like frozen light, its crystalline surface bending incoming sunlight into soft, geometric patterns that drifted across the white floor. Floating emitter nodes adjusted illumination constantly, ensuring every angle of the princess appeared dignified and reassuring. Marcus privately suspected the lights were working harder than necessary. Diplomatic envoys had begun to arrive hours earlier, representatives from neighboring systems, trade delegates, and officials whose titles were longer than their usefulness filled the chamber. Their clothing shimmered with embedded technology, their voices low and polite. Marcus trusted none of them. He stood half a step behind Ilara, his posture relaxed in appearance only. His visor processed biometric data continuously. Heart rates, body temperatures, micro-expressions. One ambassador was sweating excessively. Marcus flagged him. Ilara spoke calmly with the delegation leader, her voice smooth and measured. She did not rush. She never rushed. Her long ears remained angled slightly outward, attentive. Marcus had learned that meant she was listening to everything, even things no one said. A hovering service drone passed nearby, carrying a tray of beverages. The glasses floated perfectly stable despite the drone's motion, suspended in individual gravitic stabilizers. Marcus watched the drone carefully. The drone noticed. It paused. Marcus stared at it. The drone emitted a polite chime and slowly moved away, as if deciding Marcus was more trouble than he was worth. Ilara noticed. "You frightened it," she murmured quietly without turning her head. "I observed it," Marcus replied. "Yes," she said. "Aggressively." Marcus did not consider observation to have emotional tone, but he accepted her assessment. The ambassador who had been sweating approached Ilara next. He bowed slightly, his smile precise but strained. "Princess Ilara," he said. Marcus stepped slightly forward, adjusting his angle. Not enough to interrupt. Enough to intervene if necessary. The ambassador's heart rate elevated further. Marcus focused on his hands. No weapon. No sudden movement. Still, Marcus memorized his skeletal structure for efficient neutralization. "Your palace is magnificent," the ambassador said. Alara inclined her head gracefully. Thank you. Marcus observed the ambassador's pupils. Normal dilation. Marcus disliked normal. Normal hid things. As the ambassador spoke, Marcus's neural implant transmitted a quiet notification. Environmental fluctuation detected. His muscles tensed. He scanned instantly. Air pressure stable. Temperature stable. Structural integrity stable. Then he noticed it. A vibration, so faint it could have been imagination. Marcus did not believe in imagination. He shifted slightly, adjusting his stance. Alara noticed immediately. Her eyes flicked toward him. She did not interrupt the ambassador, but she knew. She always knew. Marcus activated a deeper scan through his visor, accessing Palace sensor networks. Nothing unusual reported. Marcus trusted his instincts more than sensor networks. Behind them, another service drone approached, this one carrying a small tray of decorative crystalline objects. One object wobbled slightly. Marcus stepped toward it instantly. The drone froze mid-air. The object stabilized. The drone beeped in confusion. Marcus stared at it. The drone slowly retreated. Alara finished speaking with the ambassador and turned slightly toward Marcus. You almost arrested a decorative object, she said quietly. It moved, Marcus replied. She considered that. That is its purpose. Marcus did not argue. Movement without authorization remained suspicious. The diplomatic chamber gradually settled into calm rhythm. Conversations flowed. Light shifted gently. Nothing appeared wrong. Marcus remained alert, because wrong things rarely announced themselves. Alara stepped slightly closer to him. Her voice lowered. You felt it. It was not a question. Yes, Marcus said. She studied his face carefully. I did too. Marcus paused. That mattered, because Alara was not trained to detect threats the way he was, which meant whatever he sensed was real, or she trusted him enough to believe it was. Neither possibility made him comfortable. They stood together in silence. The hum of the palace continued around them. Diplomats spoke. Drones hovered. Light moved. Marcus watched everything, because somewhere inside that perfect calm, something had already decided to stop being calm. Marcus had learned, through experience and mild disappointment, that danger rarely looked dramatic. It did not glow red. It did not announce itself with threatening music. It did not pause helpfully to explain its intentions. Danger preferred subtlety. It preferred patience. It preferred to arrive dressed as something ordinary, which was why Marcus did not trust the flowers. They had been placed along the grand atrium balcony that morning, arranged in tall, elegant crystalline vases. Each bloom shimmered faintly, its petals semi-translucent, refracting light into soft spectral fragments. They were imported from one of the inner moons, selected for their beauty and symbolic neutrality. Marcus suspected them immediately. He stood beside Princess Alara as she reviewed a series of diplomatic schedules projected into the air before her. Her fingers moved through the holographic interface with calm efficiency, adjusting times and locations with subtle gestures. Her long ears were angled slightly forward, focused. Marcus scanned the flowers again. No explosive compounds detected. No concealed energy signatures. No movement. That last detail bothered him the most. Nothing natural remained perfectly still. Alara noticed his gaze shift for the fourth time. You do not like them, she said without looking up. I do not trust them, Marcus replied. She glanced at the flowers. They are flowers. Marcus nodded once. Yes. She waited. He added, that does not eliminate them as a threat. She stared at him. I believe, she said carefully, if a flower attempts to assassinate me, it will deserve recognition for initiative. Marcus considered that. He still monitored the flowers. A maintenance drone rolled past them, its small chassis humming quietly. It paused near Marcus, its optical sensors adjusting as it evaluated his presence. Marcus evaluated it in return. The drone rotated slightly, then extended a small articulated arm. It offered him a cloth. Marcus stared at it. The drone beeped politely. Marcus did not accept the cloth. The drone retracted its arm slowly, perhaps concluding Marcus was socially incompatible. Alara covered her mouth briefly. Marcus suspected she was laughing again. "I believe it is trying to help," she said. "I am not in need of assistance," Marcus replied. She nodded thoughtfully. "Yes, you appear completely helpless." Marcus did not respond, because sarcasm was not listed in his training manual. The diplomatic balcony overlooked the inner energy core of the palace. Far below, massive gravitic engines rotated slowly, their motion smooth and silent. They generated the force that held the palace suspended above the planet. Without them, everything would fall. Marcus trusted gravity more than people. Gravity was honest. His neural implant registered another microfluctuation. So faint, it barely existed. Marcus froze. He activated a deeper scan through Palace sensor arrays. No alerts, no anomalies. But Marcus did not believe in absence. He stepped slightly forward, adjusting his position closer to Alara. She noticed instantly. Her voice was quiet. "You felt it again?" "Yes." She turned fully toward him now. Her expression was not afraid, it was calm, which somehow made Marcus more concerned. "Do you know what it is?" she asked. "No." She studied him carefully. "Does it frighten you?" Marcus answered honestly. "No." Fear required uncertainty about response. Marcus always knew how he would respond. The maintenance drone returned. Marcus watched it carefully. It stopped near the flowers. It extended its arm. It adjusted one of the crystalline vases by exactly 2 millimeters. Marcus stared at it. The drone beeped proudly. Marcus added it to his list of entities capable of independent decision-making, which was not a list he enjoyed maintaining. Alara stepped closer to the balcony edge. Her hand rested lightly on the transparent barrier. "Do you ever wish," she said softly, "that you could simply exist without watching everything?" Marcus answered immediately. "No." She looked at him. "Never?" "No." She held his gaze for a moment. Then she smiled faintly. "That sounds very lonely." Marcus did not understand loneliness as a personal condition. He understood it as a tactical environment. Isolation reduced variables. Isolation increased survivability. Isolation was efficient. But standing here beside her, he experienced something inefficient. He did not have a name for it. Another microfluctuation pulsed through the palace, stronger this time. Marcus's muscles tensed. His hand moved closer to his weapon. Alara did not step away. She stayed exactly where she was, beside him, trusting him. Marcus did not know whether that trust was logical, but he knew one thing with absolute certainty. If danger came, it would reach him first, and it would stop there. Marcus stopped sleeping 3 years ago. Technically, his body still entered regulated rest cycles. His neural implant dimmed non-essential sensory input. His muscles relaxed, his breathing slowed, but Marcus did not consider it sleep. Sleep implied surrender. Sleep implied vulnerability. Marcus preferred to think of it as temporary reduced vigilance. Tonight, however, even reduced vigilance refused to arrive. He stood alone in the midnight observation corridor, watching the silent curve of the planet below. The palace floated in perfect defiance of gravity, held aloft by its vast gravitic engines. Their hum vibrated faintly through the structure, steady and constant, except tonight, Marcus noticed something else beneath it, a second rhythm, not louder, Not stronger, just wrong. His visor displayed environmental data, all readings normal. Marcus distrusted normal. He activated deeper diagnostics, accessing restricted sensor arrays embedded within the palace's infrastructure. Streams of data flooded his neural interface, numbers and patterns sliding across his vision like quiet warnings. Nothing flagged. Marcus's instincts flagged everything. Behind him, the corridor doors opened. He turned instantly, hand already resting on the grip of his weapon. Princess Ilara stepped through. She wore no ceremonial gown now, only a simple dark garment designed for comfort rather than presentation. Without the formal layers of royalty, she looked younger, more real, more unprotected. Marcus lowered his hand immediately. "Princess." She walked toward him, her long ears catching faint reflections from the corridor lights. "You felt it again," she said. It was not a question. "Yes." She stopped beside him, looking out at the planet below. For a while, neither of them spoke. The silence between them was not empty. It was listening. "Everyone else is asleep," she said quietly. Marcus answered without looking at her. "Not everyone." She smiled faintly. "I forget." Marcus did not. A maintenance drone rolled slowly down the corridor behind them. It paused when it saw Marcus, as if reconsidering its life choices. It beeped nervously. Marcus stared at it. The drone turned around and left. Ilara watched it go. "I believe you are intimidating the palace infrastructure." Marcus did not intend to intimidate infrastructure, but he accepted the outcome. Ilara leaned lightly against the transparent wall. "Do you ever wish you could stop?" she asked softly. Marcus processed the question. "Stop what?" "Watching everything." Marcus did not hesitate. "No." She studied his face carefully. "Why?" Marcus answered simply. "Because something is always watching back." She turned her head slightly, her expression thoughtful. "That sounds paranoid." "It is accurate." She did not argue. She trusted his accuracy. Another vibration moved through the palace, subtle, brief. Marcus's entire body tensed. He activated full-spectrum scanning. Nothing. Still nothing. He did not believe nothing. Ilara noticed his posture shift. Her voice was calm. "Whatever it is," she said, "you will stop it." Marcus looked at her. He did not know if that was confidence or faith. He realized he did not know which one frightened him more. The corridor lights flickered once. Only once. But Marcus saw it. His visor replayed the moment instantly, frame by frame. Energy fluctuation. 0.002 seconds. Too fast for human perception, not too fast for Marcus. He stepped forward slightly, positioning himself between Ilara and the corridor behind them. She noticed. "You think it is close?" "Yes." She did not move away. She stayed beside him. Marcus did not understand why that mattered so much. A service drone suddenly appeared from a nearby maintenance hatch. Marcus reacted instantly. His weapon was in his hand before conscious thought completed. The drone froze. It beeped. It extended a small tray. On the tray sat a single cup. Ilara blinked. "It is tea," she said. Marcus stared at the drone. The drone beeped again. Marcus slowly lowered his weapon. The drone remained perfectly still. Ilara took the cup gently. "Thank you," she told the drone. The drone beeped happily and left. Marcus watched it go. He did not trust anything that cheerful. Ilara held the cup in both hands, its warmth rising in faint spirals. "You see threats everywhere," she said softly. Marcus answered honestly. "Yes." She took a small sip. "Even in tea." Marcus did not deny it. Because tea could be poisoned. Tea could be weaponized. Tea could be unpredictable. Ilara looked at him over the rim of the cup. Her eyes were calm. You would protect me from anything. Marcus did not hesitate. Yes, she studied him carefully. Even from things no one else can see. Yes. She lowered the cup. And for a moment, Marcus realized something he had not allowed himself to understand before. He was not standing here because it was his duty. He was standing here because it was her. And somewhere deep inside the silent machinery of the floating palace, something else had begun to move. The palace did not scream when the attack began. It hesitated. For exactly half a second, every system within Aurelian's vast structure paused, as if reality itself had forgotten what it was supposed to do next. The gravitic hum faltered. The corridor lights dimmed. The air felt heavier, uncertain. Marcus felt it before the alarms. He turned instantly, his hand already on his weapon, his body shifting into the precise angle required to place himself between Princess Alara and everything else in existence. Then the alarms began. Not loud, not chaotic. Calm, which was worse. Marcus's visor flooded with warnings: unauthorized signal penetration, defense grid interference, internal sensor disruption. Something was inside, not physically, digitally. The palace itself was under attack. The corridor behind them flickered. For a moment, the polished white surface fractured into a ghost-like distortion, revealing something hidden beneath it. A cloaked figure shimmered into partial visibility, its form wrapped in adaptive camouflage that bent light and sensor waves alike. The assassin had been inside the palace the entire time. Marcus moved before thought. He stepped forward, placing himself fully between Alara and the threat. The assassin's weapon charged with a rising mechanical whine. Marcus fired first. His weapon discharged in a precise burst, disrupting the camouflage field. The figure staggered, partially exposed, but not neutralized. The assassin fired. Marcus did not dodge. He absorbed the impact. Pain exploded across his chest as the kinetic force struck his armor, cracking its outer plating. His body remained upright. He did not allow himself to fall. He fired again. This time, his shot struck the assassin's weapon, destabilizing it. The weapon detonated in a controlled implosion, collapsing into inert fragments. Security drones flooded the corridor instantly, their weapons trained. The assassin was immobilized, neutralized. Marcus remained standing for a moment, then his body remembered physics. He collapsed. Alara caught him, not because she was trained to, because she refused not to. Her arms wrapped around him without hesitation, pulling him close, holding him upright as his weight leaned into her. Protocol shattered quietly. "Marcus," she said, her voice trembling. He tried to speak. His neural implant struggled to stabilize his systems. "I am operational," he said. She laughed softly through tears. That is not reassuring. Medical drones arrived, their scanners sweeping over his injuries. His armor had absorbed most of the damage, but not all. He was bleeding. Alara did not let go. Advisors arrived behind them, their voices urgent. "Princess, please!" She ignored them. She held him tighter. Marcus became aware of the palace staff watching the princess embrace a guard, watching her refuse distance, watching her refuse protocol. Marcus realized something strange. He was not embarrassed. He was not afraid. He felt calm. The threat was gone. She was safe. Nothing else mattered. The medical drones began stabilizing his condition, applying nanite repair fields across his damaged armor. Alara remained beside him the entire time. Her hand never left his. Hours later, Marcus stood again. His armor repaired, his body functional. The palace returned to calm, but nothing was the same. Marcus stood beside Alara once more in the observation corridor where everything had begun. The planet turned slowly beneath them. Neither of them spoke for a long time. Finally, Alara said softly, You stepped in front of it. Yes. You did not hesitate. No. She turned to face him fully. Why? Marcus considered the question. For the first time, he did not answer immediately, because the answer was no longer simple. It was not only my duty, he said. She waited. Marcus looked at her. Not as a guard, not as a shield, as himself. It was you. Silence filled the space between them. Not empty. Complete. She stepped closer. Not as princess, as Alara. Her long ears caught the soft light as she reached out, her hand resting gently against his armored arm. Marcus did not move away. He did not need to watch everything anymore. Because for the first time in his life, he trusted something completely. Not a machine, not a system. Her. And the Palace of Aurelion continued to float above the world,